We talk a lot about freedom, right? Like it's this big ideal, this thing everyone's supposed to want. But then, like, day to day, does it really feel that way? I mean, what was the last time you felt like you could just say what you thought about, I don't know, anything really and not worry?
It's funny you should say that. There's this essay, it's called The Paradox of Freedom, When Citizens Feel Like Property of the Government. And it really gets at that feeling. Like, even in places that are supposed to be all about freedom, people are starting to feel more like, I don't know, like they belong to the government, not the other way around.
Okay, so how does that even happen? How do you go from freedom to feeling owned?
Well, a lot of it is how things play out in real life, not just what's written down. Like, we have all these freedoms on paper, sure, but then you see what happened a few years back when all those businesses, small businesses mostly, they spoke up against that environmental rule, and then, bam, suddenly they're all getting audited.
Oh, yeah, that was rough. Felt like a pretty clear stay in your lane message.
Exactly. And that's what the essay's talking about, this like illusion of freedom. You're free to do whatever until you actually do it.
So you only get freedom as long as you don't use it, kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. And it gets deeper, because then the essay looks at how the government, with its laws and rules, all that, it can end up making people feel controlled, not helped,
Can you give me an example, like something specific?
Think about some countries, right? Not even saying names, they use fines, huge ones, or just bury you in paperwork and regulations, all to target businesses that belong to people who disagree with them.
Wow, so it's not even just about silencing them, it's about controlling their whole livelihood.
Exactly. And that's where this economic pressure comes in that the essay talks about. Yeah, it's like you're on this invisible leash, You think you can go anywhere, but then step out of line and suddenly you feel the tug. And that's even worse the more you depend on the government, like for your job, your business, whatever.
It's kind of bleak when you put it like that. Does it offer any way out of this? Or are we just stuck feeling owned?
Well, actually, it gets pretty practical, which I appreciated. Like, it talks about really strong legal protections, making those mean something.
You mean like actually protecting those freedoms we talked about, speech, the press, all that?
Exactly. But it goes further because it's not enough to just have the laws, right? They have to be used fairly consistently. Think about those businesses getting audited left and right. That just makes everyone else shut up,
Yeah, like what's the point of rules if they only apply when it's convenient? So what else does the essay suggest?
Transparency, that's a big one. Making information public, letting people see what the government's doing, why.
So less secrecy, more accountability. That makes sense if you actually want people to feel like citizens, right? They got to have a say, know what's going on.
Right, and that ties into the whole civil society thing, which the essay's big on.
Break that down for me. What does that even mean?
Well, imagine if everyone was too scared to speak up, to organize, to criticize anything. That's how power gets out of control. But when you have all these groups, regular people looking over the government's shoulder, advocating for stuff, that keeps things in check.
So it's about giving people the power to actually be heard together. But what about technology? That seems like it could go either way, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. It can be used to spread lies, control what people see, for sure. But the essay is more interested in how it can empower people. Think about organizing protests online, sharing information, getting everyone on the same page for issues.
It's like the internet is a democracy toolkit almost.
Yeah.
But even with the best tools, people need to know how to use them, right?
Exactly. And that's why the essay emphasizes education, and not just like basic civics class in high school. We're talking about teaching critical thinking from a young age, how to debate and disagree constructively.
It's like instead of just being told what to think, you learn how to think for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's about having the confidence to say, hey, this is my government too. I have a say in this.
So we've got a whole bunch of stuff here, making sure the law actually protects people, the government being more open, people getting organized, technology used for good, and this education piece. It's a lot.
It is, yeah. But if we want to actually feel free, not owned, it seems like those are the things we got to focus on. Which one's most important, though? I'm curious what you think.
Honestly, it feels like they all kind of depend on each other. But if I had to pick, I'd go with education. Just because if you don't understand how things are supposed to work, how can you tell when someone's messing with the system?
Totally. It's that old saying, right? Knowledge is power. The more people know about their rights, their government, the harder it is to control them.
Makes you think of that Ben Franklin quote, Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. But, like, you got to understand what liberty even is to make that choice.
Yeah, it's not about just trusting whoever's in charge blindly. It's about being informed, engaged, being willing to speak up, disagree, even when it's hard. That's what keeps things healthy, you know?
This whole conversation's really shifted how I think about freedom. It's not just this thing you get. It's like an ongoing thing. We got to work at it, balance it out with what the government can do.
And everyone's got to be part of that.
Exactly. So to everyone listening, think about this. What actually makes you feel free? And what do you think we need to do, all of us, to keep that freedom safe for us and for, our kids and grandkids? Thanks for being here for this deep dive. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next time with more, so keep those questions coming.